Lionel delivers the mail on this episode of Toy Train Tips and Tricks. Hello again, this is Mike from Toy Train Tips and Tricks, celebrating the 900,000 views milestone this week. Thanks, all of you! Almost from the beginning of toy train production, Lionel and other manufacturers realized that in addition to the movement of the trains themselves, people wanted action. First, it was trackside signals, warning lights, and bells. Then, Lionel added action to the trains themselves, with cars that unloaded logs and coal. In 1939, Lionel's number 3814 merchandise car sent miniature packing crates flying from inside a boxcar. After the war, Lionel's number 3462 automatic refrigerated milk car added the human element to the illusion, as a small man shoved milk cans from the car and onto a trackside platform. Kids of all ages were fascinated. In 1949, Lionel developed a simplified mechanism that no longer required a solenoid inside the car to operate. The X3464 animated boxcars used a simple spring mechanism that could be activated by a UCS track section or a number 6019-027 remote track section, or the action could be triggered manually. But this miniature worker was lazy. Instead of pushing out milk cans, this blue man simply appeared in the doorway and did nothing. He didn't even fake it by carrying a tool in his hand. What a slacker. In 1953, our freeloading friend was rewarded with a larger home, as Lionel's number 6464 boxcars debuted, along with the number 3484 Pennsylvania animated boxcar that used the same spring mechanism as the other animated cars, but was inside the larger 6464 boxcar shell and frame. More animated boxcars followed, but our reclusive fellow continued to shirk gainful employment, until finally, in 1959, our man passed his civil service test and landed a job with the U.S. Postal Service in the number 3428 U.S. mail car. This eye-catching car, resplendent in red, white, and blue, used the same mechanism as before, but our man, now garbed in either blue or gray uniform with cap, could now toss a bag of mail from the car when the mechanism was activated. This trick was achieved thanks to a small magnet embedded in the postal worker and a small metal stud on the bag. As the man flew toward the door and suddenly stopped, momentum overcame the magnetic force, and the bag would fly away. Here on the workbench, you can see the basic mechanism and how it remained essentially unchanged from the 1949 original to my 1994 version. When the mechanism is armed by closing the boxcar door, the undercar plunger holds the assembly in place. When released, a small spring pushes the whole assembly forward, opening the car door, revealing the worker, and, if so supplied, tossing the bag. While American railroads had indeed been carrying mail since the 1800s, and many passenger trains from World War I to the 1960s included railway post office cars, actual fully functioning post offices on wheels, where mail could be collected, postmarked, and sorted, and delivered by the bagful to line-side towns by a small army of postmen. Real RPO cars were passenger cars. However, sorted mail bags would frequently be tossed from the RPOs onto passenger platforms and to waiting line-side postmen. So, like most of Lionel's post-war operating cars, the U.S. mail cars are the product of a small speck of reality and a large load of fantasy. The number 3428 would also be offered in 1960, but then mail service in the Lionel Lines would be discontinued, except for the similar-looking but non-operating number 6428 U.S. mailbox car that would be produced on and off between 1960 and 1968. In 1973, Lionel MPC reissued a nearly identical animated mail car as the number 6-9301, which was cataloged until 1984. MPC also reissued the non-operating mail car as the number 69708 boxcar. In 1981, our bag-toting boxcar man branched out into regular freight service with the number 6-9218 Monon boxcar. While dressed the same and carrying the same type of bag as the postal worker, this man was now working from a standard freight car. Our bag-tossing friend also operated on freight cars nutted for Erie-Lackawanna and others. And in the number 19821 Union Pacific car of 1995, he tossed a rectangular orange box. Was he tossing Lionel train sets out the door? Our package-toting friend returned to postal work in 1985, this time in the number 6-9229 Express Mail car. And then back to regular postal work in 1994 for the number 16679 and 16687 U.S. mail cars, like mine. Except for reissues of specific post-war cars, the operating boxcars produced since the 1990s have nearly always included a tote-tossing figure, whether the package was a bag or a box. The man has also worked for organizations ranging from the U.S. Army to UPS. Sometimes the figure himself is different, such as in a bag-tossing Santa Claus and some Christmas-themed cars. While it took a decade for our boxcar man to finally find regular work, since then he has been a jack of all trades and he shows no signs of retiring. Seriously though, these cars show how a simple, well-designed car can thrill observers in 2023 as well as they did in 1959. If you haven't done so already, consider adding one or more of these cars to your fleet. As always, I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it, and if so, please let your friends, neighbors, and the almighty YouTube algorithm know by giving us a like, a share, subscribe, or comment about your favorite operating boxcar. Until next time, keep the bags tossing and the trains running, and we'll see you again on Toy Train Tips and Tricks.